What is going on, guys? This is the Inside the Booth podcast. I am your host, Vin, as this is episode number 5, and we are breaking down the New York Rangers today as we talk about some of the trades and how they've affected this team, and also just how I think the Rangers have been playing over these last 15 or so games. As we get right into it, and let's go right into the trade acquisitions that the Rangers got and how I think they've affected their team. As we first start off with Vladimir Tarasenko. And Vladimir Tarasenko, I think, is starting to fit nicely with this team. You know, he scored a overtime winner against Flyers, and that wasn't a great game from the Rangers, but you know they found a way to get 2 points out of that against the Flyers team that shouldn't have been even close to the Rangers in that game. But I think that just came down to the Rangers just playing 5D and just lines being mixed up due to the situation. But, props to the Flyers for making that game a lot closer than it had to be, and I guess more enjoyable for the fans as they were playing at their home rink. And, to find a way to get at least a point from the Rangers is, good on their part, but they obviously won't be, making the playoffs. But, nonetheless, this Rangers team over the last 15 games haven't been amazing, and I think we've all seen that. I think the absence from Ryan Lindgren has been huge. But nonetheless, let's keep talking about the trade acquisitions. Mikkola, I thought, has been decent. He's taken a lot of penalties for this team. He's a big guy, kind of like Miller, similar build. He's got that same reach. But, I think Mikkola has been decent. I think hopefully he can get better down the stretch. But I think Vladimir Tarasenko has really started to fit in with the Rangers here. And, we talk about Tyler Mott, I think he's been okay, but obviously again that tough injury against the Ottawa Senators is tough because he's one of your better defensive forwards, and losing a guy like him makes the defense even worse than it already has been. And also again the big name Patrick Kane, and the Rangers didn't have to give up much for any of those guys, but nonetheless they're 8-11-1 currently. Acquiring all of those guys. We look at the individual records with Tarasenko and Mikkola. The Rangers are 6-5-1. When they added Tyler Mott, they are 2-4, and one of those games Tyler Mott missed due to the injury from the hard hit from Christian Watson from the Ottawa Senators. And the Rangers are 0-2 with Patrick Kane. 2 of those games they lost to the Boston Bruins, and also losing to the Ottawa Senators for Patrick Kane's debut at MSG. But nonetheless, let's get back into the absence of Ryan Lindgren. We can tell that Adam Fox is not the same defenseman he is with Ryan Lindgren. I think that's really because Ryan Lindgren is probably the best stay-home defenseman on this team, so that allows Adam Fox to rush the puck and even take some chances because he knows that Ryan Lindgren will be back, and he's done very good defensively. I think he's one of the more underrated players on this team, and maybe we can even argue he's one of the more underrated players in the NHL. But playing with a bigger guy like Mikkola, who I think takes a lot of chances, and he doesn't always win those chances. I think the Rangers have been allowing a lot of odd man rushes, especially in that Bruins game. Even allowing shorthanded goal to Thomas Nosek. That just can't happen. That really made me angry, and I don't like giving up shorthanded goals. When you When you give up a shorthanded goal, that is just horrible. You cannot allow shorthanded goals, especially to great teams like the Bruins. The Bruins, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. I mean, we've heard that saying multiple times, and playing in TD Garden is not easy to begin with, and they have a super good team over there in Boston who can make a big run for the Stanley Cup playoffs. But also in these last 15 games, they've allowed at least almost 3.5 goals, and they're scoring 3.73 goals per game, which isn't bad, 3.73, but you're also allowing a lot. So the Rangers have been very bad defensively, I think, and those numbers are not good. I expect this defense to be a lot better when obviously Miller is back now, and also Ryan Lindgren will be back soon, hopefully. Lindgren did skate on his own today, and obviously Keandre Miller rejoined the team after his 3-game suspension for that spitting he had on Drew Doughty. Just unacceptable for Miller. He knows better to do that. Regardless if Drew Doughty said anything, you should not be, spitting on anyone or doing any sort of nonsense when your team, needs you most. And, the absence of Ryan Lindgren and Keandre Miller showed. The defense does not look good without them, and, you play 5 defensemen for a few games, and I think somewhat that hurts you because some players are playing more minutes than they should. We saw Ben Harper and Nico McCullough play around 20 to 22 minutes again in some of those games, and it's fine for them to get more ice time because with the injury with the 5 defensemen, but nonetheless, that's probably the last time you'll ever see Ben Harper and Nico McCullough, record 20 minutes in a game. But nonetheless, we also have seen that Gerard Gallant has changed the power play 1 and power play 2, and I don't mind that. The power play was not good against Boston, and it was not good against Ottawa. Regardless how good of a penalty kill team the Ottawa Senators are and the Boston Bruins, you should find a way to at least get a goal. The Senators, they gave you a lot of chances to win that game, but you just couldn't get it, and that's really one of the reasons why you lost that game. And we look at the 2 new setups for the power play 1. It consists of Fox, Panarin, Trocheck, Kane, and Lafreniere. And that's a lot of passing. We obviously know that Panarin and Kane are pass first guys, and you wonder who's going to be your finisher. Well, I think you can maybe look to Lafreniere to be shooting the puck a lot in that power play, even though it's a very pass first type of power play. I mean, you definitely would like to see Zibanejad maybe there instead of Trocheck, because Zibanejad is lethal on the power play. I believe he's top 2 in goals on the power play. He's just lethal at that left dot, with his one-timer. He's got one of the best one-timers in the league. But, we look at the power play number 2. It consists of Jacob Trouba, Zibanejad, Filip Chytil, Vladimir Tarasenko, and Chris Kreider. Lots of great options. You could see Tarasenko shooting the puck. You could see Mika. Kreider obviously screening the goalie and, deflections. And then Filip Chytil as well to round off that power play. And, that could be a good power play if it's used correctly. But I don't know how I feel about Fox being on that first pair with already all that passing. Fox doesn't shoot the puck much, and if he does, it's not a hard shot, really. It's really more for deflections, and that's why you would have maybe Kreider with Fox, and maybe instead of Trouba on that second pair, you put Fox on the second pair, so you'd have Fox, Zibanejad, Chytil, Tarasenko, and Kreider. That's just my opinion. I mean, hopefully it works out. I think this is more for Gerard Gallant to, get the lines going. Because, the Panarin, Trocheck, Kane line, that's your second line. And the Zibanejad, Tarasenko, and Kreider line is your first line on 5-on-5. But it'll definitely be interesting on how things unfold. And, you're playing Montreal on Thursday, and then you play Buffalo. Montreal, they're not a great team, but Buffalo, they've definitely made some noise, and especially the guy who's been really tearing it up is Tage Thompson. He has been outstanding this year for the Sabres, but, I think those are 2 definitely winnable games for the Rangers, and, we go back to their last 15, they're 9-6, and some of those games, they got blown out, and just bad, you lose to the Washington Capitals, you let up 6 goals against Washington, and just some of those games were just bad, hard to watch. Everything about it was just not to the Rangers level, and they've been playing down recently. We haven't seen this team, really shine in a while, and when they did, They put up 6 against Carolina, who's atop of the Metro and atop of the league. And they put up 6, against Vancouver, who's not a strong team, but you rarely see teams let up 6 goals in a game. But this team has a ton of offensive power, and I'm excited to see what the team can do. But they got a handful of games left to get everything straight out until the playoffs. And the playoffs, right now I don't want to play New Jersey. In my opinion, I would much rather play Carolina than New Jersey, and that's just because New Jersey is just a team that I think has more offensive power. I know the goaltending definitely goes to the Hurricanes with Anderson and Antti. I think they're obviously better than Vitek Vanacek and Mackenzie Blackwood, but the Devils, they scare me. But those are really the 2 teams right now that they're probably going to play, whether it's the Canes or the Devils, depending on how that unfolds. But there's even some teams that's trying to make a run. We see the Islanders 7 points back of the Rangers. Rangers still have 2 games in hand. So a lot of stuff is going on in the Metro, and that's why the Rangers can't let off the gas right now, because they can't have some of these teams catch them. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying, if it does happen, it's bad for the Rangers. The Rangers are a much better team than they are in their last 15. They are not a 9-6 team in the last 15. We've seen this team, go on multiple 7-game win streaks this year. So there is no reason why I don't think this team will get back to normal soon. They just hit a little bump in the road, and I think they'll be okay. And even a guy that we haven't even talked about yet is Igor Shesterkin. Shesterkin, you look at his numbers, 6-4 in his last 10 starts. Not great, but going back to the defense, they haven't helped him out whatsoever. I mean, a lot of those times the defense has missed assignments, and Shesterkin couldn't catch on, and then you see that you got a puck in the back of your net. So I think the defense has to be better. Obviously, Igor has to be better, because he's allowed 34 goals in the last 10 starts, and he also only has a .909 save percentage. And I'm not a big save percentage guy or goals against. I'm not all of that, but .909 is low to me, and that's not the Igor I remember. I expect at least in the 915, 920ish range. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think a .909 is very low for Shesterkin and his standards as well. And by no means was he going to replicate what he did last year. That was impossible. I mean, he broke so many records. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But we would like to see, some better play from Igor. And I've always loved Igor, watching him in training camp and everything, but, if he can get back on his game, this makes his team super scary, because you have the offensive power. You have Kane, you got Fox, Zibanejad, so-and-so, and your defense isn't bad. I don't think this defense is bad, it's just they're missing a ton of assignments, and, I think that's just what has been making this team lose these games, because there's been some games in the schedule that, you circle that should be wins. And it's just that they haven't been able to get those wins, and they're making games closer than they should be. Some of these teams, they should just be blowing out. But, I'm hoping for, next 10 or so games to be better. Definitely expect, Patrick Kane to be better. He's only played 2 games, so I fully expect for him in the next, 5 or so games to be at his full level. Because I think 2 games is a small sample size. I think if you give it 5, you'll see what he does with Panarin. And if he doesn't, if Gallant doesn't like what Panarin and Kane will do, they'll probably put Kane with Mika Zibanejad. Because, Kane's a pass first guy, and so is Panarin. So maybe that's the issue. And Trocheck isn't, your Mika Zibanejad who's just going to snipe the goalie. But, nonetheless, this has been another good Rangers talk. My name is Vin, and as always, Let's go Rangers. So long.